Hey everybody, it's Nutrition Coach Lucy here with a couple of our members of the tribe talking about quick fix meals. Let's first get something straight. What is a quick fix meal? Okay, so in my oh so humble opinion, the slow food movement that happened a few years ago was fantastic because we are such a fast food, convenience food nation that, it's really easy to just think like, oh, I'm too busy. I got to eat on the go. And then, of course, COVID happened. And I talked to a number of you that were like, wow, Lucy, my habits are so much better now because I'm not on the go all the time doing this and doing that. So that was pretty exciting for a lot of people to be just at home, feeding yourself more often, more consistently. And so today, because now it's 2022, we're 2 years into this whole global pandemic, and a lot of us have really picked back up those habits of being on the go and running around and just feeling like I really don't have time to chop vegetables for an hour every Sunday. Or I just really don't feel like I'm so tired when I get home from work. I'm just like, I don't want to spend 30 minutes. Even Rachel Ray and her 30-minute meals, God bless her, those never took me 30 minutes. They were always longer because my chopping skills just weren't quite up to par. So today, these are things where if you're like, I really don't have it in me to go home and cut up a sweet potato, like I got sweet potatoes and some butternut squash back there. God bless. I love butternut squash. It's really grown on me. But holy moly, those things, like, I don't really like the peel anymore. I used to eat the peel. It's good to eat. It's very fiber rich. But you peel it and then I even ask my husband to cut into it because it's a little bit intimidating. That's very much a slow food, which is great when you have the time and you just really feel like getting into the kitchen and maybe using it as mindfulness time. Or for me, it's like, this is when I'm listening to Harry Potter audio or putting some music on. So really just having those moments when you can get in and enjoy the preparation process. I really encourage you to carve out time for that in your life, but also to know that there are such things as dietitian fast food. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I call this dietitian fast food. And, you know, I believe all of you have been introduced to the well balanced plate or the happy plate, as some people call it, since it smiles at you. So just a quick refresh for anybody that maybe is a little fuzzy or hasn't gotten into the happy plate lessons yet. I'm gonna pull that up so that we can all be on the same plate together. All right, here we go. So this is our happy plate, and as you'll see, it's smiling. And for anybody that hasn't been introduced, just a quick run through. I always start with that big green circle. A lot of people think like, oh, it must be green vegetables. And those are included, but that's not the only thing included. So we really want to encourage people to just eat the rainbow. It can be something green like broccoli. And this is the quick fix version of that. So I've got broccoli that's already been chopped up, ready to go, washed and everything. But it can also be a number of other colors. Maybe it's going to be white button mushrooms. Maybe it's going to be something even easier. You just wash and grab your apple and take it with you. Or an orange. These little cuties have been my son's all-time favorite. So that big green circle is all the colors, all the fresh fruits and vegetables, specifically the non-starchy vegetables. Moving on, we've got our red and our yellow-orange circle. So that red is going to be our proteins. We call those the happy, healthy proteins. And that can be a lot of different things. For the meat eaters out there, that's going to be things like maybe chicken like these delightful little chicken tenders. I wouldn't necessarily, these came from Happy Chickens. I don't think those were Happy Chickens. I actually watched an interesting show about how those environments are, but we won't get into that right now. So it might be chicken. Maybe it's going to be for more of the vegetarian leanings. Maybe it's cottage cheese. That's a great source of protein. Most of our cow's milk dairy products like cheese, milk, and yogurt are good sources of protein. And then for others, I left my beans over there, but canned beans can also be a great source of some protein. And beans are what I call a twofer. We know beans are both protein, and then also that yellow-orange circle is complex carbs. So what makes a carb complex versus simple? The complex carbs are the ones that have more fiber. They're intact. So something like well, even these sweet potato fries could be considered a complex carb because they were just cut from whole sweet potatoes, and they still have some fiber when you look at the nutrition label, which we can look at a little bit later. But for each serving of those fries, it's got 3 grams of fiber. So that fiber is a good way to know. And if you're looking at grains, such as whole grain bread, then what we want to look for is something that says whole. So on the label, one of those first words on the ingredients list should be whole. And that's how you know it's a complex carb versus simple. And you know what? I'm not going to say you can't have your simple carbs. I have a 2 to 3 ratio policy in my own dietary practice, where if I've had at least 2 servings of complex carbs in the day, then the other serving I just don't worry about. Maybe it's going to be something like a good old white English muffin. Why not? I don't have any. Oh, maybe it's going to be just a plain flour tortilla. That's fine too. So that's our carb department. And then the last is going to be the little blue circle. Most important, fat is our friend. Why do I say it's the most important? Because, first of all, fat is often where we get the flavor. It's going to be the foods that tend to be very satiating for us. So if you find that you're eating and then you're really hungry, shortly thereafter, it might have been low fat, and maybe your body's like, I don't really feel full. And then so tasty, satiating, as well as how our bodies absorb vitamins and minerals. So having that fat there, really important for lots of different reasons. And this can look like a lot of different things. You know, I have been on a kick. This yogurt spinach dip from Lidl. If you have a Lidl nearby, but it's worth the drive. There's one in Cary. It's the only one I know nearby in the Durham area. I'm not gonna lie, this has a lot of ingredients. So for those that try to be more pure in your practices, doing something like a yogurt with some seasoning would be a great option as well, like a full fat yogurt. I often do mayonnaise. We're going to talk more about sauces and how to add flavor to your food next month. So starting in March, we're doing flavors of the world. And so that's what we're going to be focusing on. So you'll hear me talk even more about that stuff. So that's a quick review of our well-balanced plate, just to bring us all on the same plate. And now I want to just go through and start assembling meals just to kind of give you ideas. Let me think. I'm trying to decide if we should just like go in order of the day, or that matters. Probably not. I have another little handout that I want to go over, just to give you guys an idea of how my brain works when I am planning something like a quick meal. So, you know, we have that whole plate, and it can be a little bit daunting to think of all these different components. So that's where I like to simplify. And you'll see that in my new quick meals. It up before and now it's missing. Bear with me. Here it is. Okay. All right. So this is a great little document that I created. It's like at this point, I'm like, I don't know why I paired certain things together. So just know that it's not like you have to eat all of these foods in the combinations that I've put here on the page. Instead, just taking the ideas of what is simple that you can incorporate into your own habits. So we've got breakfast to start, or breakfast foods. Recently found out that I shared this document with a couple of my clients, husband-wife duo, and they just told me that they started doing, that's not a picture here, and I don't have any, unfortunately, but they found those Kodiak cakes. There's waffles. Oh, here, I've got a mix. Okay, so Kodiak Cakes is a brand of high protein, whole grain waffles, pancakes, and you can make muffins with this mix. Kind of like, remember your Aunt Jemima pancakes, right? So this is her all made up with a healthy makeover. And again, it's remember our complex carbs, so we're looking for that whole. The first ingredient is 100% whole grain wheat flour. And I like to have the mix around. We can just make one pancake at a time for my kid. Make pancakes for the whole family, so that's kind of handy. But you can also find them frozen. They have them in waffles and I think pancakes. There's blueberry and maple and cinnamon, all kinds of good flavors out there. So having that, this client of mine said that they stopped going out for takeout because now whenever they're thinking about takeout, they're like, we could also just go home and have our pancakes. They have or they think they have the frozen waffles. And then they always keep berries because those are so simple. You don't have to like prepare them, right? You just wash them off and then they're good to go. And then I think they usually pair that with like some chicken sausage. So they have different kinds. I think this one's more of a savory, and so they might use more like a breakfast chicken sausage. But now instead of going out for takeout, they have breakfast for dinner. How fun is that? So these meals are good at any time of day. And you'll see here, we've just got that colorful food, whether it's berries, banana, tomato. I put this together as like kind of a breakfast taco concept. But just picking new colorful food, finding that protein and or healthy fat. So that's where that middle row is kind of that combo. It can be protein and fat. And then the complex carb. And you'll see like this top one is carb is also mixed with the healthy fat. So granola that has actual like nuts and or seeds is a good blend of carbs and fat. So finding those two first can really be a game changer. Let's see. And these, already made, frozen this and that. Something where I had a client tell me, like, oh, I'm not buying any of that. And I was like, why not? And he was just convinced that frozen chicken, frozen burgers, like those can't be good for you because maybe I think he grew up where it's like the frozen foods had all the additives and all of that. And companies have really been able to get away from that. So a lot of these brands are really able to make foods without as many unknown or preservative kind of ingredients that a lot of us are trying to avoid eating in excess. So that's the breakfast categories. You know me, you know that nut butters at least once or twice a day, part of my life. So moving on, this is more of the savory, maybe afternoon or like lunch or dinner kinds of meals. I had a client once tell me she does dippy dinners. Like dippy dinners, tell me more. And she would get either like a baguette, a whole grain baguette from the grocery store, and do a spread. You think about charcuterie platters where you've got some meat and cheese. I always put hummus. I love to add grapes, olives, and pickled vegetables to my charcuterie platter. And I usually have oysters. I go to protein dinners. And so this is like a Tex-Mex spin on a dippy dinner where you've got maybe refried beans. You can mix in my husband's family actually, they mix the refried beans plus the salsa and shredded cheese, put that in the microwave and mix it all up, and then you can serve that with tortilla chips. And of course, me as a dietitian, I'm like, let's add a little bit more color. I had one. Oh, here we go. So I always encourage and try to add some guacamole. These are some really handy dandy little single serve guacamole. So for when you just don't have the time and energy to make that guacamole, the store has done it for you. You're welcome. And moving along, something simple, it's like, it's getting to be warm. I don't know what the temperature is in North Carolina, but my goodness, it's almost 80 degrees in South Carolina today. And so a salad and some chickpeas sounds like a delightful lunch. And, if you are just, say it's after work and you're like, okay, I don't feel like cooking, but I also don't want to eat takeout, then they have these little baguettes. They actually sell cute little ones, a single or two serving size ones, which I love. And then canned beans, super simple, pop the top. And if you're in a hurry, just rinse them off and keep it moving. If you've got a little bit of time and energy, throw those with some olive oil and some of your favorite seasoning, pop them in the toaster oven, and you get like this delicious little crispy, crunchy bits on your salad. And then just, I don't have one right now, so I don't always get it, but I tend to buy a box of mixed greens. Last week it was spinach. The week before it was arugula. Usually in the summer, there's like a giant box of spring mix, and it's my personal mission to get through that by the end of, sorry, I'm coming back to that question. But it's always my mission to get through the box of spring mix. It's like the giant one. My husband doesn't really eat salad, so I'm in it to win it before it goes bad. The yellowish brown grains in the salad. Oh, in the salad photo. That is a good question. I think that's corn, is what my eyeballs say, but I can't tell you for sure. I just pulled this from Google Photos. So I did not make this particular salad. But this one it looks like beets. They sell pickled beets at the grocery store, already done and chopped up. So if you are like me and that's one of your favorite things to get on the salad bar, guess what? Grocery store has them. They've been thinking of you. They're called just beets and they're in the salad section. Yeah, but from what my eyeballs are telling me, it looks like it could also be chickpea. They look kind of small to be chickpeas. Could be pine nuts though. Anyways, I apologize that I don't know the answer to that, but those are all good topping options for you. So some toasted nuts, put on top of the salad, great. Some fruit, I think that's a pear or an apple. So good to get that sweet and savory mix together. Good question. This one's my favorite. It's a family favorite. I love these chicken sausages. Most of us grew up on your good old standard like meat sauce, pasta mix. That's fine. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but sometimes we need to shake things up. Otherwise, people start to get a little whiny because they're like, ew, that again. I mean, I've been there. I was the one complaining. So this photo is that reminder of like old favorites with the new spin. Um, Finding maybe a slight variation on the sauce if you always get your traditional pasta sauce, maybe trying one like a garden vegetable or the artichoke. I went through a couple jars of butternut squash sauce last fall. It was delicious. It seemed to be seasonal because I haven't seen it since. And then as I pulled out before, these chicken sausages are so great to have on hand. There's a lot of different brands that make them, and they tend to have a few different flavors. I would have gotten the jalapeno or the habanero, but now my kid is very sensitive to spice. So this one is a sun-dried tomato. And they are good source of protein. So one of these chicken sausages has 14 grams of protein, but they do have a fair amount of sodium. So if you're trying to be careful about your sodium, just be aware that these are a pretty solid hit of salt. But as I always tell people, it still doesn't even come close to what you're getting at Bojangles. So if you're worried about salt and you're trying to decide if I should get the convenient grocery store or just swing through the fast food, the convenient grocery store option is still the winner. Just saying. All right, and then a few more ideas for you. This was my go-to, like period, end of story for years. The rotisserie chicken at the grocery store, so easy, so delicious. Can't get over how delicious it is. Until I had some IBS stuff and realized they're pumping it with some flavor additives that my body doesn't agree with. This is no longer a part of my repertoire, but I still think if you don't have any gut issues, then they're a good option for that fast food alternative. We're getting your rotisserie chicken, one of those salad kits. We had one last night. It was delicious. It's like a buffalo ranch, really crispy, crunchy slaw mix and some kale and some carrots. And they add the crispy toppings and the dressing. It's all in one. So those are great. And then I love these seeds of change. Those are one of my favorite go-tos for quick, like not hard to make rice. Literally, it can be made in a minute. But this is also really convenient because there's no mess. It's no fuss, no muss. You tear the bag, microwave it for 90 seconds. Here we go. Uncle Ben's has them now where it's a whole grain option. And this is literally just brown rice, some canola oil, and a little bit of salt. That's it. Oh, I lied. There's not even any salt. So you're really going to need to add some flavor to this. So there's that. And then I like this quick stir fry option where if you have just enough energy to open things up and pour them in a pan, and finding your favorite stir fry sauce, you can just add to anything. I have one. Grab it real quick. Here. One, it's actually a blend. So since my body doesn't do soy sauce, I do coconut aminos, but you're welcome to do soy. And then a little bit of the sweet chili Thai sauce. So good. So you can get these frozen veggies already done, the cooked shrimp already done, and put that in like olive oil, a pan, throw it in there. Once it's all heated up, right? Because it's not really needing to get cooked, it just needs to get heated up. Then you pour a little bit of your sauce on top. Go. And then I don't know why I did corn tortillas with that. I think rice is a more traditional. You're welcome to do tortillas. You're welcome to do whatever carb or just eat the protein and the veggies. Last but not least, one of my all-time favorite um, lunch, especially in the summertime, I'll make super simple tuna salad. I literally just mix tuna and mayonnaise. And then, or for anybody else out there that is into sardines, I do this with sardines too. So I'll pop the top and drain the juices and then mix a little bit of mayonnaise and sriracha in with my sardines. And then I'll dip it with whatever I have handy, maybe carrots, often it's cucumber, and some whole grain crackers. This is a document I will gladly share with anybody that wants it. Okay, I've been talking a lot, so I'm curious in the chat, did these ideas spark any of your own? While you're thinking about that, I'm going to continue to share a few of my other favorites that are not in that document. But, now that you've been introduced to this quick fix meal concept, I imagine that you're like, oh yeah, here's what we do. I forgot to check what Kristen said her family favorite was. I had a client also this week that told me she's got a new food or a new fast food that is really working for her. So she's been really struggling with some of her own gut issues. And so cooking food, she'll like cook, and then by the time she's done cooking, she doesn't want it anymore. How frustrating. And so she's figured out, okay, she can boil water and pour it on her ramen noodles. She just does half of the pack of ramen, just one half of that block of noodles. And then with that, she'll throw on a hard-boiled egg, and she'll put the mixed vegetables in with the ramen when she's heating it up with that in the pot or just boiled water. Just a little bit of the spice from the packet, and then a little bit of bouillon. And super simple. It's got all the elements, right? We've got the carb from the noodles, protein with the egg, and colorful with the veggies. Maybe to add a little fat to that, just drizzle some what's that called? Sunflower, or it's not sunflower, sesame oil. That would be delicious. So, ideas. I'm not seeing any come through in the chat, but that's all right. I know you're out there thinking or maybe chewing on your own lunch. So I'm going to share a few more of my more recent quick fix options that I've found at the grocery store. And we'll wrap up. Oh, we got a couple that came in. Oh yeah, so we've got mixing tortellini with steamed broccoli, Italian sausage, and pesto. Yes, I love that. Your son's on point. Tortellini is my personal favorite kind of pasta. It's really the only one I look forward to eating. And it's got all the elements, right? So you've got your pasta, you've got your colorful broccoli, Italian sausage, protein, and pesto is more color and stuff like that. Christy does the healthy rice ramen in bulk. Ooh, interesting. Is it ramen that's made of rice, like rice noodles, maybe? I tried that for a while. They cook up super fast, but they also absorb through my body really fast. So if I eat rice noodles, I'm always hungry within hours, which is fine because then I get to have my bedtime snack. Good additions. Thank you for sharing. So let's go through a few more items. I pulled out a couple already, but one thing that I started to do was like, okay, here's something where, say, like I said, you got off work, you could go through the drive-through, but you're thinking, I can do better than that. And I believe in you, you can. So one thing that I like to do is grab these fillets of salmon. So this one's frozen. You wouldn't want to do from frozen, but if this is in the grocery store, then you can throw one of these bad boys. This one's a little bit thick, but they have the smaller individual packaged ones that's already seasoned. So this already has flavor on it. But even if you get the unflavored, salt and pepper that bad boy, or for me, it's just Old Bay. I always have Old Bay, sprinkle that on my fish, and then I pop it under the broiler on low, so low broiler. And that thing is usually done within 5 to 7 minutes. This one's thicker, so it's going to take longer, probably closer to 15 or so minutes. But for the time that you're going to sit in line in the cars and with the quality of food that you're going to get, this is pretty darn fast and delicious. And that I'm often throwing together into like fish tacos. When I say fish tacos with parentheses, that's because all I do is take my little slaw mix, already all chopped up, ready to roll. I pour however much we need. Now that Atlas loves coleslaw, then I have to make more. But I pour however much I need of this in the bowl, and then I mix in my favorite poppy seed dressing. Bam, I might mix in a little bit of mayonnaise to make it a little bit creamier. And then, as I showed you before, got my little flour tortillas, handy dandy. So that's where quick fix is still fixing, right? There's still a little bit of prep involved, but it's quick. And once you've done it 2 or 3 times, you're like, oh, wow, this is just as easy as like pulling out plates and putting food on the plate. So I would just highly encourage you to explore some of these easy helpers that the grocery store has given us. They have coleslaw mixes. You're totally welcome to do those. I never cared for the dressing they put in those. They're like a little bit too sweet, which is a lot coming from me. But when you think about quick foods, it's important to just really get as simple as possible while still wanting to satisfy your taste buds. All right, so that's my coleslaw. Also on Fridays. Okay, so Fridays, by the end of the week, right? It's the end of the week. There's no chance that I'm cooking tonight. And also it's Friday and I want to do something fun. And starting next week, it's Fish Friday because Lent starts on Wednesday. But for my husband and for the meat eaters, or for the meat eaters, then I do chicken tenders. I during Lent, and actually just for myself, I typically do fish sticks, fish stick Friday. It's a little throwback to my childhood. It's so good, and it's like I get it. It's not maybe the most balanced choice in the world, but I can make it more balanced because I also chop up a little bit of, what's this called? Cucumber. So I'll just take my mandolin. Have y'all played with mandolin? I think I've been selling Thomas on this for a few years. I think maybe he finally got on board because mandolins are my favorite and they make life so much easier. So I just boop, 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 boop. Slice up my cucumber. Wow, my brain's just turning right off. And mix that, have my my fun little sauce, a little sweet and sour sauce with my cucumber and my fish sticks. Bam. So I don't have to go out and spend money and be disappointed or feel gross, because the idea of going out for fried fish always sounds good. And then when I do it, I'm like, ooh, that feels kind of heavy. It doesn't end up being fun anymore. That's something that I always keep on hand. Also, and I just want to like have fun, enjoy life and also not spend $5 on a little thing of French fries. And you can get a whole bag for even less. And I like this brand, Alexia, because they have figured out how to make them without as many ingredients. And they're super, super delicious. So when you're just feeling like you need a little bit of fun food, but you're not looking to spend as much, then that's nice. The grocery store has a whole freezer full of fun options. And sometimes we'll just have appetizer nights and we'll just go pick like 3 or 4 different appetizers out of the freezer section and throw them in the oven, and it's great. A couple other thoughts while I've got you. One thing that I like to do is I don't have them here, but I often buy those pork tenderloins, the ones that are yay-ish big. And it's not, so I say quick fix, right? That one's minimal involvement for me, but it's not exactly quick because I think those take at least 30 minutes in the oven. But if you have one of those pork tenderloins or any tenderloin, chicken, um, I get already chopped up, sometimes already seasoned, flavored, starchy vegetables. This happens to be sweet potato chops, and toss those with some olive oil. You can do, to mix with the pork, you can do onion, you can do sweet potato, you can do carrot, mush, other vegetables. Like, actually, you could probably also do the broccoli. Just know for those veggies that cook up faster, those might be extra cooked by the time the pork's cooked. So that's where I go with like a little bit more hearty vegetables for the pork. But mix that, put it all in the pan, sheet pan dinner in the oven, done in 30 minutes. So it's not as quick, but it is really convenient. And it doesn't involve a lot of like dirtying of dishes and effort chopping. And then one thing that I did not talk about, but oh no, I did. I talked about the stir fry. So takeout from the grocery store again, right? You can buy the mushrooms that are not chopped, and then you have to wash them and chop them. Or you can get the ones that are already diced up for you. And they're usually about 30 cents more. So I'm like, yes, I will pay the grocery store to dice up my mushrooms. It is tricky because, just so y'all know, once the fruit or veggie has been chopped, then it's expediting the boilage rate. So if you do buy those already chopped up fruits and vegetables, just know that they're not going to be good for that long. So that's why I keep referencing going home from work. Of course, if you're like me, it's like, well, I just work and live and do all the things here. It's like, okay, I'm going to run to the grocery store and I know I'm going to prepare these tomorrow or tonight. That way they don't have as much time to start to go brown and turn yucky. So when you buy these already chopped up veggies, remember, keep your produce out of the beer drawer. If you put things in that crisper, it might keep them good longer, but not as long as you'll forget about them. So we always have bubbly water in our crisper. That's very handy for that. I do keep some of my fruit in there as well, but any vegetables that I don't want to forget about, those are at eye level. Oh, that's right. I've got broccoli that's already chopped. Better put that in the oven and roast it up before I forget about it. So there is that. Okay, I've been talking for ages. I have one last combination I want to share with you because it's been my recent favorite go-to. I left it over there, so I'll be right back. All right, so this one, you guys already saw a picture of one of these. This is the pulled pork. So good. This one is higher fat, so they're using like a fattier cut of pork, where there's another one that I have that's carnitas. It's a little bit more protein rich versus this one that's got a little bit more fat. Both are delicious, and you can find a place for them in your diet. So the pulled pork, and they have them in chicken. So if you're like, ew, I don't do pork, totally cool. They offer already made in chicken. I will say they come in these bags, and they are not the most appetizing when you look at it. So if you're feeding other people, be sure to heat it up and maybe put it in a pretty bowl before you serve it. So I do that. Already cooked pork, and then the little potatoes. These guys are literally just 5 minutes in the microwave. So this has become a thing that's in the potato section at the grocery store. where you can buy these. They add the seasonings, so it gives you all the directions. You just add whatever butter or oil that you want to a seasoning stick. And top that with a little packet of flavor. Put it in the microwave, and you've got some delicious steamed, easy peasy, starchy vegetable. And here's a little side note. Sometimes I cheat and I don't have both non-starchy and starchy vegetable. If I'm having sweet potatoes at a meal, I'm like, you know what? Those are colorful. I'm going to count that as a twofer. So it might just be that tenderloin plus some sweet potatoes and some mayonnaise. I'm going to tell you more about that next month. So just know there's more conversation about how to add delicious flavors to your meals coming soon. But I don't want to overwhelm you with ideas right now. So take a breath. Open it up to the floor. So just see if you guys have any questions. But I'm going to wrap up the recorded section of this conversation. So glad that y'all could watch, and hopefully you learned some great ideas for your quick fix meals. We look forward to seeing you next time in the kitchen. Keep on enjoying the journey.